All right, welcome back. All right, let me cover this Dotun story really quickly. It was posted on Instablog Nigeria earlier on. It's also about Emeka, and he's decided to support Emeka Ike, but he tried to come from the one angle. I was like, nah. Again, patterns. For your own good, pay attention to these patterns, gentlemen. The patterns, the results you're creating. Patterns, results. Patterns, result. Look at the patterns. The patterns create certain types of results. So even if you're going to swim against the trend, the patterns, at least you know what you're doing. So you might have your standard, your sense of value, your whatever, right? You might have that, but you need to know what you're doing before you're trying to swim against the trend. Right? If you swim against the trend, you don't know what you're doing, you will drown. And a lot of people are drowning. Their families are drowning. And the worst part is that the children are the victims. It's not even responding to the questions intelligently self. No, it's not. Because he probably, I don't know what he was doing. If you have any kind of interest in that lady, the last thing you want to do is talk bad about your ex to them. Gentlemen, don't do that. If you have interest in a young lady, please do not bring your ex up. Please don't do that. Okay? It will backfire. They can't trust you. Okay? They don't even know why they can't trust you. It's not logic. Okay? Don't look for the logic. But they can't trust you. Alright? It'll be a very hard time trusting you. Anyway, Dotun, D to the do to the tune energy God. It says you can fight but never involve the kids. If I were the interviewer, I won't let the child on. If you're looking for the backstory, just go and watch all the Emeka Ike stories that we've been covering for the past few days. I think in all we do, we need to apply a little more pressure when it comes to our ethics. I get it, but I'd rather she says it herself, not through the child. Let's talk about Willie. Dotun, stop the cap. You get it? You get it. Okay. When you involve kids as a weapon to fight your partner, you don't love them. You would think anyone will grow up and be a better father or mother doing that. No. You just scared them. You just scared him by letting him do that interview. You just scarred him by letting him do that interview. Fight dirty if you care to, but don't ever use the kids. They said, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Great. But don't use the child as the gun or knife in a fight. Alright, so I'm sure about 50% of the people are supporting this because on paper it sounds cool. But we know where Dotun is coming from, don't we? Let's say keeper said Dotun is projecting his own trauma with his kids. He does not even understand the context. No, he does not. If anything, Dotun just told on himself that he has not been working on himself. If anything. He's just told on himself. You know? Somebody said in 10 to 15 years, that boy go regret harm. When he's grown and wiser. Why is it that they keep saying that? Are they all from the same WhatsApp group or something? I've seen at least 20 million comments exactly like that. That boy go figure, I go know one day. Baba, you have anything else extra profound to say? I mean, that's it. Is that the wisdom right there? Is that the wisdom? Is this what we call common sense? Whenever you hear me say something is correct on paper, I'm talking about common sense. Okay? Common sense wise, you're right. You're right. If we're talking about common sense, okay, everybody has one. Abby.
Oh, you're right.
Can you imagine telling Dotun or Emeka Ike that they don't have common sense? It makes sense. They think they have common sense. They must have common sense. You have to let them have that. Yes, you have common sense, Baba. It makes sense on paper. But let's dissect it. Let me tell you why he's absolutely wrong. Number one, we know where he's coming from. Okay, he's projecting, so everything he's gonna say is coming from that. It's not authentic. It's not real. It's not coming from a real place. It's coming from personal hurt. So there's a good chance he will try to hurt the other side of his brain that works, so that he can justify it. So he can justify his bias. Okay. It's not just you, Dotun. We all do it. But when you're not aware of it, it's dangerous. You will destroy your family. Okay? Oh, you will lose your kids. Keep it up. I'm not talking about losing them, that somebody is seizing their custody, the one that everybody is defending for you. No, you should never take someone's child. I agree with all of them. They're all correct on paper. The worst part is when your child becomes a Michael Ike, an adult, and they are now in a position where they are going to Chude's. Let's call his name. Go to Chude's interview. And another young Dotun at that time who don't collect woto from his young wife is now coming to support you, and Baba, that's explanation with no evidence. That's explanation with no evidence.
We go explain because no evidence.
No evidence. You go explain tired. Okay? You lose your kids. They're now grown adults, but they don't want to see you. Or better yet, they don't want to see both of you. Which one is better? Which one do you prefer? They don't want to see both of you because they're confused. At best, they are confused. But let me dissect some of the points he's taking here and why it's wrong. Let's go into it one sentence at a time. You can fight but never involve the kids. The kids are involved when you're fighting. That is a default. So that advice discombobulated, dead on arrival, flat on his face. Okay, that's basically witchcraft.
Not be juju be that.
It's not possible. You cannot fight without using the kids. It's literally impossible. It's literally impossible. So the idea that somebody is choosing to fight and use the kids, it doesn't make sense. People do that because it's the default. It's just messy like that. Sometimes they're doing it, they don't realize they're doing it. Sometimes they're just on the phone with their friends, talking nasty about their ex-husband, but that kid is picking it up. And they're confused. And then you turn around 20,000 miles across the world and say they manipulated the kids. No. The moment you don't know how to manage your relationship and you have kids involved, the kids are involved. You get it? You get it. Once they are involved, that is it. There's no way around it.
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it.
All right.
So if we're going to use this advice at all, maybe you should advise them not to fight. Seek help, seek therapy. But let me guess why you won't say that. Because you don't really believe in therapy too. You only believe in therapy when it's convenient. Only when the therapists agree with your own rhetoric. Right? Anyway. He continues, if I were to be the interviewer, I won't let the child on. There is a reason why you're not the interviewer. I think we should take that home and run to the bank with that. There's a reason why you're probably not the interviewer. There's no way that woman and that young man was going to feel safe around you. Maybe that's why you're not the interviewer. And I'm not shaming. I'm just saying that's some of the patterns we should pay attention to. That's very subtle pattern right there. If you were to be the interviewer, you wouldn't let the child on. Why did it become about you? You want to hear that story? You want to hear that story. If he's a young adult and you want to hear the story of the mother and they insist and he says, no, I want to make sure I'm here to support her. You will not be like, no. Wouldn't that sound like you already have your own agenda? What? Projecting. Anyway, I think in all we do, we need to apply a little more pressure when it comes to our ethics. Moralizer. Bringing in the ethics thing is the moralizer police thing. That's what that is. That's exactly what that is. Let me show you. It's poison. Okay, that's that judgmental thing right there. Ethics. It's very subtle. You have to pay attention to it. It's bringing ethics because some of us will do the right thing and you all keep doing the wrong thing by stealing our children away from us. Baba, they shouldn't steal your children from you. I don't think they should. But I think your issues are deeper. And if you're not willing to admit that, I'm not going to admit that for you. So, number 3 right there, anti-seducer. It's no wonder why they didn't want to do the interview with you. Or why they wouldn't come to a platform like yours. I'll lead to not much wonders, right? All right. I think, okay, that's the ethics thing. I get it, but I'll rather she says it herself, not through the child. He says he gets it.
You doing what?
Does Dotun get it? Stop the cap. Dotun, the side you picked on this case is so glaring. I don't know if you know. If you don't know, it's normal. Because we've seen like 50% of the people don't know either. Right? But no, you don't get it. You don't get it at all. It says I get it, but I'd rather she says it herself, not through the child. Stop the cap. When you involve kids as a weapon or fight your partner, you don't love them. Well, you can't really love if you don't love yourself. The people that involve themselves in fight with their ex-spouse, when they're in that funk, they don't love themselves. Anybody that loves themselves, have enough self-respect, they won't even be in that position in the first place. Okay, we've all been in that position. But in that moment, you don't love yourself. You don't have enough self-respect. You just want... You rather go and sleep at your father's house than to engage in the quote-unquote fight that we will now be talking about weaponizing kids. If you're in that space at all, the last thing that you have is self-love, self-respect, or self-esteem for all parties involved. Okay. So they can't really, if that's what you're talking about, you might be have a point that they don't love the kids. Well, that's the last thing on their mind. They are fighting. Remember you said they can fight and don't involve the kids, and unfortunately that's a discombobulated idea because the kids are already involved. So again, could make sense. All of it is it's not aligning. You would think anyone would grow up and be a better father or mother doing that. No, you're right, they won't. But unfortunately, you are advising them to fight. Why? Because you're ready to fight for your kids, like you were doing some few months ago, quote unquote, rightfully so, even though we don't know the full story, right? Eventually, your ex-wife fell for it. She had to answer to it, but you had to still go back home and fix it. But it sounds like it's still not good out there in paradise. You're telling on yourself. Yul and Dotun, when you see this kind of stories, it's not your moment. You're telling on yourself. You just scarred him by letting him do the interview. That boy is already scarred. It's too late. So should we scar him more? No, he wants to protect his mother. What you're saying is irrelevant. He needed to be there to support his mother. And I support that. That's the least we can ask of him. Okay? Fight dirty if you care. If you care to, but don't ever use the kids. That was not a kid. That was a grown man. That was a rightful grown man, just like you. Okay? That clearly the father seems to have disowned on and off over time because he's pissed off that he didn't go to school. So that's a grown man. He's probably had to take care of his siblings. That's not a kid. You know? And they happen to get it right. Those two, the ex-wife and the son, they understand what is going on more. The woman said, we're damaged. We need therapy. That's the only side we're hearing that from. There's no way in hell that it will make sense to you everything you just typed if you actually saw that part of the video. Couldn't make sense. The only thing you will have for them is empathy. You approach them with empathy, not trying to judge the woman all over again. But you probably don't get it, right? They said don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Great, but don't use the child as a gun. Anytime you put your own feelings above your feelings, you call it principle. It's just a principle. You put your feelings above the long-term benefit of the family. That is essentially what you're doing. You're using the kids. When you jump on the internet and you cry out to the world to help you get your kids back, you're literally using your kids. You don't have to believe me now. You can wait years later. We'll find out. We'll find out if the kids will come back and tell you, we felt embarrassed by you jumping out there. They'll tell you. They'll tell you. I know it's kind of weird. It's not logical. It's working in reverse. I know. But that's how the human brain works. Welcome to the real world. I believe a child above 18 is an adult. Somebody's answering him. He or she definitely might have one or two things to contribute. No, we can't be on the fence about this. The move that that woman and that son made to be interviewed on Tuesday should not be policed. We got to go back to the source. And that's the leader who, first of all, decided to open the can of worms. And you don't have to judge him. But that's the source of everything we've seen over the last 10 days. If you're on the fence about this, you don't get it. You don't get it. You think you're the court, the judge. You want to see, with this part you are wrong. This part you are wrong too. And this part, no, it's not. There's a source. Everything in life, there's a source, right? But when you become an adult, you hold yourself accountable. Now, this boy is an adult right now. I already said it. He's going to have to hold himself accountable to the cards he's dealt already. But from this drama we saw over this last week, there's a clear source we saw. We cannot be on the fence about that. We can say, oh, you have one or two things to contribute. No. It was clear that that young man insisted he wanted to be there to support his mother. And I think Jude did the right thing. Okay? He did the right thing. And then Dotun said, not that way. Let him do it on his own accord. Not with how he was brought in. Coconut Head is a bastard. I don't know what he's talking about right now. I won't sit in with my child in such interview and let them destroy their mother. You would. You just have to be frustrated long enough. We've seen it on this internet space. You would, precisely. You just have to be frustrated enough. You will call it principle. It's just a principle. And you would even justify and say, after all, they're adults. You will say all those things. That's my prediction about that from the little bit I've seen. I'd rather it's my fight rather than theirs. It's always their fight. They are the victims, not your fight. They are the victims. All right. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to be on time today. All right. I don't know. Did you guys see anything new in the Nesville? Did you guys seen it? The Nesville story? Abi, you guys want us to watch it together here? Are you guys suggesting that? Pray that the son heals. Only God knows what he has seen and suffered from all the drama. Many have experienced a thing or two, and many have ended up as collateral damage worse than this young man. Exactly. That's the phrase, collateral damage. That's the phrase right there. Yep. I agree 100%. But Ben, how you doing now? We're rounding up. But I was actually trying to see. Let me see. Let's play maybe the first. Hit that like button, share, subscribe. Shout out to all 74 of you that's watching this live. I appreciate you. Help us share it with the rest of the world. Let them know we're having a conversation here. Okay. You saw it. Was there anything new that we didn't know already? Or she's just narrating? Anything new you want to share? Let me just actually see here. I don't know if anybody, I'm going to drop the link just in case. I'll hang out another 5 minutes. I don't know how realistic that is, but let me drop it anyway, just in case somebody catches that link in the next 5 minutes or so. Yeah, if there's anything new that she said, you can just talk about it without playing her video. Let Let's see. Okay, let's see.
EMS is electrical muscle stimulation.
It has just started, Michael. I'll crush Emma. I will trash Emma. Better remove yourself from that woman.
It's a 26 minutes video. There's no way I'm going to cover that here. Let me bring. Hey, Onibe, how are you?
Hey, man of prestige, are you okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm okay. Are you okay?
Yeah. I'm good. Sorry, I've not been feeling well over Christmas, so I've not been around. Hope you had a lovely Christmas.
I did. How about you?
Yeah, it was good. It was quiet. It was nice. Low key this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I think low key is the new thing now.
Yeah, of
Everybody's
course.
stressed out with all the ups and downs.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So anything new in Nezaville's video?
She basically, you know how she does her analysis. She talks from one side to another. For me, she basically recapped on what she said before, and then obviously she talked about obviously the new voice note.
Right.
She talked about obviously the pros and cons. I can't remember everything, but she was talking about obviously one train of thought saying that why would the mother allow him to be on the interview with today? And another voice of thought was saying that he's an adult. Now me, obviously being born and brought up in the UK, my analysis is the fact that he's an adult.
Absolutely.
If he's sprouting a moustache, no disrespect, that's not a child. Yep. You understand? So I don't understand this mentality of he's a child. He's a big, crusty man. Mm-hmm. He can get married at this age.
Yeah.
So he's an
he can
adult.
impregnate a person for sure.
And it just
multiple
does my
times.
head in this African mentality. He's a child. No, he's not.
Right.
So if he makes a decision to support his mother, like I said, in this day and age, she can't physically stop him. If he decides he wants to be there for his mother and he now wants to narrate his own story, then so be it. So I think that was her base. I'm probably summarized it very quickly, but that was basically what she talked about from two trains of thought. And then she obviously talked about the voicemail, which to me is quite shocking. Because for me personally,
the second voice note.
Yeah, I mean, people are just coming up with excuses. I'm literally scratching my head while talking to you, because it's like I don't know, there's no common sense, because for me, no matter, because people are asking who did the son provoke him, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you hearing yourself? And most of them, no disrespect, they must be based in Nigeria, because you can't try that shit, you understand, in the UK. Because as far as I'm concerned, is that there's no propagation of emotionally abusing your child. If you try that in the UK, that is social services taking your picking straight. Yep. That's not even about physical chastisement.
And that's a testament to a broken system. That's just what that is.
I understand.
Yep.
And that's why I find it quite shocking. And sorry to say, it has to be people based in Nigeria, because you can't bring that mindset here. Yeah. Because as far as I'm concerned, your child is your child. You are the parent. But your child is given to you. You don't own them. They get to a stage where there's some decisions they make you may not like, but you just have to be there as a parent. So all this mentality that he will regret it. What about Emeka that's chatting rubbish and can't control his emotions?
Exactly.
You understand? I mean, many a time my child will provoke me. Obviously, my child is much, much younger. I literally have to hold my mouth because I have a sharp mouth.
You have to exercise patience. Yep.
Yes. Many times my partner will say to me, babe, cool down. He's different to me. These
kids will test you. They will test you.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that I've got it all together, but even me, I know with myself, I have to be careful what I say. I would never, ever in my life send a voice note to anybody, not even my child. Many times I've had issues with maybe my partner. I would just keep quiet. I would never in my life do, because in that moment when you're upset, you can say anything and you can't take it back. And another thing I will say, sorry to kind of digress.
No problem.
As you know, I I think me and Emeka probably, my divorce was in 2016. I don't know when Emeka's was. So it was quite a long time ago.
I think we finalized it in 2019, but she left 10 years ago.
Okay, fair enough. So mine was a bit earlier, but my problem is that my ex-husband was very much like Emeka, ranting and raving to everybody. But unfortunately, maybe the type of person that I am, I really didn't care in the sense that I was done. And he was ranting and raving, didn't go to social media, was telling everybody everything. But I think for me, because of the type of person I am, I just moved on. And I think the problem I have with Emeka, and very much how my ex-husband was, he has changed now. He was all about setting the narrative. He was all about disparaging me at that time in his emotions, because as I've said to you many times, I initiated the divorce. And what I don't know, what kind of does my head in is that you can be pained, Emeka, but your most important thing is for this guy to know that as a 57-year-old man, I don't want to age shame, but he needs to grow up. It's not about you, it's about your children. You can be pissed off with your ex-wife, but you hold it together. You understand what I'm saying? It's not for you to be insulting and disparaging your ex-wife. Man of prestige.
Yeah.
My ex-husband, I have many things that I could say about him, but I hold myself together because we have a child together.
Because of the child, for the same reason.
I am amicable to my child. Like at the moment, he's with his dad because he's spending New Year with his dad. He will now come back to me after New Year. I could be very, very of the case of, because I have issues towards him, I will now be vocalizing and behaving anyhow because
you
of
only end up confusing your child.
You have to be mature, and you have to understand that it's not about you. And people need to understand that as a parent, you have to be selfless. Now, I'm not saying I'm Jesus. Don't get me wrong. I have my days where I can be doing
it's skills. No, I need you to spell it out, because these are skills that people need to have.
I just find it so annoying that that, as you know, I'm not trying to generalize, but why is it in our culture when you divorce, you have to be fighting like two elephants? And my issue is you are not the only culture, or you bought other cultures get divorced. It's nothing new. A woman decides she doesn't want to be with you, and so what? Carry your leg and move on. Co-parent your children. Well, for this 57-year-old man to be behaving like this after 10 years, this guy really needs to grow up. Really, really needs to grow up. Because at the end of the day, you've remarried. And I just feel that you have so much anger, so much bitterness that he has. And I think he really needs to get help. My partner, my ex-husband now, maybe because we're in the UK, social services said you need to stop this madness, and we have to go to court for custody.
There's direct consequences if he doesn't get it together.
He cooled down. He completely mellowed. Now, hello. When do you want me to drop Kiniko at home? When are we picking him up? When are we going to the school? We do things together regarding our child, but it took us almost 4 or 5 years. You understand?
My son is time.
8. And I just think that for me personally, I just think he really needs to grow up. But I just think he's a nasty person, and I think that he's always been like this. But I just think for him that for your children, he needs to hold it together.
Let me ask you this question. What do you say to people that say, I've worked with this guy, it's a nice guy, I don't see, right? And there's a few people that have said that. There's this lady from, 2 of them were on Daddy Free's show. There's some Kathy
I've heard it.
And then Regina Askia also said that. What do you say to these people that say this?
They're full of shit, because you don't know anybody. Like you don't know anybody at the end of the day. People can pretend. Even I can be pretending. You understand what I'm saying? For you to say that he's a nice guy, you don't know who he is in his real life. You don't know how he is in his marriage. He could be nice to his colleagues, his Nollywood colleagues, and be allegedly be beating up his wife. So for someone to say that he's a nice guy, I mean, come on, you can't be that stupid. People can pretend.
People are that stupid, I guess.
You understand?
Respectfully to the Regina Askia and them, but it is stupid.
Yeah, I think it's Yeah, you mean the fact that stupid, you came on to Daddy Fish chatting rubbish? It's just like you're embarrassing, because at the end of the day, you can't advocate for anybody but yourself.
Right. She did say, her in particular did say, but there were a couple of people that were just mad. But she did say, I don't really know, but the person I met was not that. But we still need to start normalizing, like let people know that even the parents don't know you the way your spouse, the person you sleep with, knows you. They don't know that person. Yeah, my wife was defended, I was defended. Funny enough, by the flip side of our family when we went through our own stuff, right?
Yes,
but they were all wrong because they don't know what we become when we're alone as two people that sleep and have sex together with kids. They will never know what that is.
No,
they at least need to
100%.
reserve some humility and say, let me listen a little bit more and not assume these people. Yeah.
I think my issue is that I don't know. I don't think I've mentioned this many times regarding my own divorce. I'm not saying that my ex was we're 50-50, and I've been very vocal. That's why I've been called the quote unquote accountability thing. But I take accountability because it was my mistake to get married, and we was both in fault in the marriage. And what
as an adult,
what I find really, really annoying is that he needs to own up to the fact that he was responsible for the demise of his marriage, whether with it's the alleged DV or even the fact they were never supposed to have got married. They were never compatible. I find it it just shows that he's not grown. This is someone that's knocking the other side of 60. It just shown that he's a not mature person. Because in order for you to grow, you need to take accountability of the fact that you're at
That's the only way to grow.
blame.
That's the only way to grow. You can't grow if you don't, if it's everybody else's fault but you.
But that's what he's saying. It's just lover, it's the media. What is it? It's the weather, it's the sun, it's the moon. It's crazy. And I think for me personally, he's been ranting this bullshit for years anyway. And I think that I'm not defending anybody, but if you start something, someone's gonna finish it.
Yeah.
You
that's
understand?
So that's the fact. That's why I said. That's why I said. Why are we calling out the son and the wife when they literally talk less than 40 minutes all in total, right?
Exactly.
And they didn't start it, And at the end of it, they said we're all damaged and we need help. So there's only one side.
Let me tell you something. I think I mentioned it that my mom is divorced now. She's now with her new fiance. But my mom stayed married to my dad for years. I think when I was in university, I found out my dad had an affair. Now, I'm not disparaging my dad, but they were doing the Nigerian mentality of staying married.
Right.
And
for their kids.
I moved out immediately after uni because it was too toxic for me. It was the arguments was crazy. I don't know how to describe it to you. There was no physical, but it was so toxic. I had to move out immediately after uni. My sister, who's the youngest, she's still not married till today. Not saying that marriage is important, but it affected her.
It affects people.
What I don't understand is when people are saying that this and that. Once you're fighting, it affects the kids anyway.
Yeah, it does.
You understand? And as far as I'm concerned, if Michael has decided that he wants to tell his part of the story, then he has every right to.
He hasn't told anything. On that video, he literally said, I don't want to go private.
Yes, but he said, but my problem is that he has every right to, because
he does.
At the end of the day, when all this was happening, once parents fight, the kids are involved, no matter how you try and get around it. Yeah.
And anybody bringing up, don't involve the kids, it's just a manipulator at this point.
Keep quiet. They're talking rubbish, because at the end of the day,
they're just manipulator. Yeah, they're trying to manipulate something else into the conversation, and it's not relevant.
Of course. At the end of the day, why can't they tell Emeka, shut your mouth, keep quiet? Mediate. I mean, the thing is, you have to mediate because you're tied to this man. Fair enough. She has actually said that, she wants to do counseling. She's willing. I think, did she say she's willing to speak to him?
She said she's going to reach out. She did.
Yeah, well, good luck to her with that. But anyway, she wants to reach out. But
no, she's talking about for the kids, because she says you're damaging the kids. She's talking specifically about that. Yeah. Yeah. Why do
you think that with the amount of money I paid going to do divorce, the amount of time I paid fighting custody, why do you think I did all that and we did mediation? We're in a better place now. Because at the end of the day, you do all this fighting, by the end of the day, you still need to deal with this man, my ex-husband or ex-husband, because you've got kids together.
What it is. Yeah, you got kids.
And Emeka is in cuckoo land because he's doing all this and doesn't realize she's still the mother of your children, 4 children.
Yeah, I saw him on. He tried on TVC to.
Yeah, I saw.
And then he backed out of it almost instantly.
I
I'm
saw.
like, he needs help. He needs help. Yeah.
He needs help. It's just unfortunate. But the thing is, why is he angry? You see me, yeah? When you said to me that if someone wants to leave you, I'll say bye-bye. I'm not begging anybody to stay.
Right.
And I don't understand.
It's a healthy level of self-esteem that will make you do that. Most people, especially when you're invested in the relationship in whatever way, in anyhow, maybe
that
the way
word
our
invested,
parents.
I have an issue with invested because to me, if you're, I mean, like I said, I don't agree with certain things as in marrying someone that quite young, because I believe that you should be on equal footing in some ways you need to bring something to the table. I know that's a issue for some people, but I think personally the power was with him because she was very young. He was her first love, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But you now say you invested. Is she not your wife? I don't believe in that word investment.
Oh, no, not the invested part. As in, when you as an individual, when you are with a person and you're already invested in that situation, right?
Okay,
it's not always the
you.
easiest. It's not always the easiest decision to come out. The problem with these people is that when they get served breakfast, they assume that it was easy for the other person to pull out.
Yeah.
That person has had it. They're done. So as much as it seemed like they're pulling the plug, it wasn't the easiest decision for them to make.
I mean, like I said, she left with 4 children. Yeah, do you think it's easy to do that?
She left with 2. She left 2 with him.
Okay, I stand corrected. She had 4 children. She left with 2. And then the question is that, we're saying rubbish like, did she love me? Listen, I know some people are funny, but you don't have 4 kids with a man if you don't have some kind of feelings with them.
Exactly.
Some people can tell me that I'm an idiot, I'm naive, but that's just me. I'm old school.
No, you're correct. Understand? You're correct. There's no, there was. That's why I keep saying it's lack of skills. It's not a matter of like, I know there are some bad people. It's not majority of the cases. These are people that just don't have the skills. If one person don't have the skills, you might drown the other person, right? You might drain them, and because you can't be trying to be a captain saver, you know what, right? If they can't figure themselves out, especially if this is the man we're talking about, and he can't hold himself together, it's not sustainable to keep trying to help him.
I think the issue is that for me personally, I wanted my kids to have a relationship with their dad. So even with the toxicity of the divorce, I had to really fight through it. And at the same time, I didn't lose myself because you can fall into depression. I have empathy for him. But at the same time, I can have empathy, but it's of his own making. You're making yourself depressed by chatting rubbish and just making everything toxic.
No, once you become a subject of the situation, you are one of the partners in the equation. You're not going to be that person's therapy. You need to save yourself if it's toxic. You know what I mean? If they need help, they need to go to professional help. Don't be there. To an extent, you have to be supportive to your spouse and all of that. But when you start to become like you're getting drained, that's when you start to see that fight back and forth, that toxic argument. That's you can't even save yourself. So you need to save yourself first before you try to save another person.
Exactly. Like in the airplane, they always say that do yourself first, I think the issue for me is that he's drowning in his toxicity and hatred. You can see it. It's so visual for me when I hear him speak. The hatred and everything. And the thing is, all he's gonna do is basically lose everything, his new family, his children and everything. I think what kind of saved my ex-husband, not saying I'm perfect, because I got to a stage where because of the toxicity I started being toxic as well, because I was getting triggered.
That makes sense.
I got triggered. What saved us is that we realized that we was losing ourselves in a toxicity and the kids were suffering. So we eventually realized that we need to put our feelings aside and focus on co-parents. And now we're in a much better place going forward. This is almost 8 years later. And I think Emeka has to get to that space where he needs to realize that forget her, she's never coming back. I don't know what is. Maybe he thinks she's coming back. Some men are funny.
No. I think he's remarried. I hope he's not trying to come back.
Listen, see me, you can be remarried. The thing is, if he was truly in his relationship, he won't be talking about her. You
Well,
understand what I'm saying?
well,
So
he's
for
in
me,
he's in a
that doesn't
toxic
mean
place.
anything.
No,
Yeah.
he's in a talk. He's just angry. You know what I mean?
Why?
Like,
Why? Are you the only one? I've told you. I mean, I've been divorced. I went through
Uh-huh.
toxic divorce. Is he the only one? I'm sorry. I just don't get it. He's not the only one that will be divorced, that a woman will leave you
Yeah.
or a man will leave a woman. Now, is it
It's tough for
anything
some
new?
people. It's very tough for some people.
new. It's nothing new.
Oh yeah,
This
it's
is
still it's
life.
when it happens to you, right? Especially if you're the one that got served breakfast, it's new to you. At the back of your mind,
That's
at an
true, that's
emotional
true, that's
level, you're like, it will never be me. You kept telling yourself it will never be me until it is you. God
Yeah, but,
forbid. It's like it's even like death. You know?
Really?
You know, it's like death, of course. People have to mourn this stuff because, again, it will never be you, but the one inevitable thing that will happen to everybody is death. Right?
I mean, I think I agree with you because I obviously initiated the divorce. So obviously, I'm coming from a different perspective.
Right,
But
you
I
were
would pray-
done. He wasn't
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
Right?
but I would hope if I was to go back in time, and I was served breakfast, I would hope I would have some kind of dignity and realize that as much as I wanted to be in the marriage, I would have self-respect for myself to
Yeah.
say he doesn't want to be with me, let it go.
Yeah, for you now, because you're a matured,
I
seasoned
would
woman,
hope so. I'm
you
saying
would
this,
you will be
I
able
would
to
hope
do
so.
that. You know, if
I
you
hope
were
so.
if you were 19, no, you don't know what you know, what you don't know, right? If
Yeah,
somebody
I
served
agree.
you breakfast, it hurts. Well, you see, rejection breeds obsession.
Okay,
That's just the
let me give
reality.
you. I will say this. There was a time. It's not marriage. There was a time I really liked this guy. I really, really liked this guy in my early 20s. We dated for about 2 months, and he said he doesn't want to do again. I'm not gonna lie, yeah, I cried hard. Well, after about a week, I was like, I can't do nothing. He
You
doesn't want
caught
to be
yourself,
with me.
right? You caught
I
yourself at
understand
some
that. I
point.
understand it's not marriage, but I have been rejected. Don't get me wrong. It's
No,
not
but it's the
marriage,
feeling.
don't get
You're
me wrong.
accurate. It's the feeling. You
It's the feeling.
It's the
I
feeling.
was
Yeah.
devastated, and I'm not gonna lie. I lost weight. I was not. My friends
You're
were like,
not
"Are you
yourself for a
alright?"
minute. I know.
You
I
understand?
know.
But I had to catch myself that, you know what? He doesn't want to be with me. I can't beg him. Move on.
Move on.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same as a marriage, but I
No,
think
the feeling
everything-
is the same.
I
Obviously,
don't know if you
there's,
get what I'm saying.
I get
Yeah,
what you're
I
saying.
don't know if you get
The
what I'm
feeling, the
saying.
feeling is the same, but
Yes.
the vested interest is a lot more larger for marriage.
Of course.
Obviously,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
if you claim you've invested in her. If that's your mindset,
I
that man is running mad. Is frustrated with, oh, I've done all this, I did that, you know. So, but it's the feeling. It's the same exact feeling where you experience rejection. Human beings don't like rejection. That's why human beings don't
I
like.
agree.
That's why they don't like talking on stage. They call it public speaking. It's one of the scariest things for human beings to do because they don't want to be rejected. What I'm doing here is not the easiest thing for an average human
No,
being
it's
to
not
do.
easy. I salute you, man, of prestige. But
Yeah.
I think for me personally, is like I just have an issue with that. You're married. You've got someone else. Move on.
Yeah, yeah.
Simple.
It's gonna take work. He needs help. He needs a coach. He
But
needs
it's
counseling.
been
He
years.
needs
I'm
therapy.
not disrespect, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years. He's 57. Is he still gonna be chatting this nonsense at 70?
It's an open wound. It's an open wound. That's why. It hasn't healed.
Now,
You see,
wow. It's deep for me.
Mary,
It's deep for
Mary
me.
said it right. Mary said, I think he has not healed. Maybe having many regrets. When you have an open wound, right, it's okay to have a scar. Somebody said that boy is scarred. No, that boy is wounded and it's an open wound. If you look at his face on that interview,
Yeah, I
it's
saw it,
open
yeah.
wound. That's not scar. A scar is actually healed. You see the mark there, and it's a you remember that's you went through an experience, right? But you move forward. But open
It's
wound,
deep. Yeah.
there's all kind of worms, all kind of
Yeah.
stuff tampering with it. Even the air
Yeah.
will tamper with it, and it's painful, right? Every time
Yeah.
somebody touches it, it's all open all over again. It's red all over
I
again.
don't know.
You know?
I'm literally scratching my head listening to you. I just thank God for the fact that me and my ex-husband are in a much better place because we could have been
That's
just
good.
like Emeka and I can't
So
remember
easy.
the ex-wives.
Yeah,
It's just for
Susan,
the grace
Emma.
of God. If we didn't kind of check ourselves and my issue is we had good counsel. I had good friends. I had my parents, and he had good
Mm-hmm.
friends. And then she said, "Stop all of this." That helped us. Does he not have family? Does he not have friends to say, stop this nonsense?
It's called coconut head. It's very hard to listen.
How stubborn is this? I mean, I'm stubborn, but he's on another level.
Yeah, like you were saying just now. It's very easy for any one of us to fall into that space. You just need one partner to have. Just one partner will
Of course,
drive
I
you there.
agree. Yeah, I was nearly dragged there myself. It took by the grace. I mean, we was fighting for years, almost 2 or 3 years, before someone said, Anne-Marie, stop allowing him to trigger you. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's when I realized I have to stop.
Yeah.
So it's very easy.
My
for
was
someone
my
to
mother.
drag
My
you
mother.
there.
My mother
Yeah.
had to tell me, like, stop talking. My
Yes,
mother had
thank
to
you
tell
so
me that.
much. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah. I think I was doing the same thing. He was talking. I will now be trying to justify. And then someone said, stop talking. Let him say whatever he wants. It doesn't matter. You know your truth. And I think the day,
Yeah.
I still remember the day my friend said it. Since then, I was like, I'm done. I'm not saying anything anymore. I'm done.
Yeah. So I think that's what he's feeling. He's gonna have to let go. That's the only way
He
forward.
has to let go. Enough is enough. Sorry for going on.
No, you're
I feel
good.
quite
You're good.
passionate
You're
because
good.
it's something that I kind of went through. Obviously, so I find it kind of frustrating that he needs to stop. He needs to let go.
Yep. He needs to let go. He needs to
I let
let
other
go of
people
his.
come on. Yeah.
He needs to let go of his ex-wife. He needs to let go of his son. He needs to because they will find their way back to him once they see value in him again. But he needs to let go of all of that, all the ideologies, all of that. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Onibe.
Thank you very much. All right. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
All right, that was awesome. Yeah, that's the only way forward. Let go, let go, let go. It's very hard to do. It's one of the reasons why people struggle so much, because they hang on to their ideologies, their Nollywood and Hollywood, happily ever after, and it is the end. Everybody is happy, and then the devil struck the enemy, and the enemy. That's where all of this is coming from. Okay. That's not what it's going to look like in real life. In real life, what it's going to look like is patience. You need to let go, let it go, let them go. They'll find their way back to you. Something will happen once you let it go. Let it go and engage your purpose. I really, truly believe that his purpose, people love him for being an actor, right? But I think he got stuck in some of those characters. He was fantasizing about a perfect world where you're married to a perfect wife at 18 and you took care of her and she stick with you for life, and she can't say anything back at you. Once she say anything back at you, it must be she's been listening to some blackmailers. I think that's a lot of things. And then he might be mixing all that up with some personal career, some personal professional stuff going on with him too, But I think when he told Azu on that show that he cried over the past few days on and off, I had a little bit of hope for him. That told me that he's still a normal person, that he can get to a space and realize that trying to drag my family is going to backfire and just work completely against him. So absolutely, it's like mourning a death. It's that kind of grief, especially betrayal. Yeah. And remember, the betrayer is he feels like he was betrayed. It doesn't have to be accurate in reality. If he feels like he was betrayed, he's going to act accordingly in that same direction, right? And even if you were truly betrayed, how much more just feeling betrayed is the same thing you have to do. You have to let go and work on yourself, and just know that human beings are not your mate. Sometimes they're not going to show up the way you thought in your head. Right? And when they show up the way they show up to you, you have to understand that there's probably some kind of blessings in that. If you just calm down long enough to see it, you have to calm down long enough. What is long enough? I don't know. You have to be okay with being yourself alone and mean it. You have to be willing to walk away and mean it. Right? Human beings care. At the end of the day, they care. They will find. It's not too many quality people out in this street. They will find their way back to you. If you have that level of confidence, Keeper says, I don't believe he cried. Sorry. No, I believe he cried. As a man, I know he cried. I know he's had multiple cries, and I think it's frustration cry, potato, same thing. I believe he's a frustrated man, so. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. We've covered enough of this story. Unless somebody else comes out and says something again, then we'll address it. Like today was Dotun. So Dotun is absolutely wrong. But I'm open to the conversation. Maybe he will come and do shalaye for me. Maybe he doesn't care. I don't care either. I care just as much as he cares, But thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Let's end it right there. Hopefully, you've been enlightened and educated. I will see you guys on Monday, 5 p.m. We do Monday through Friday, 5 p.m., okay? Monday through Fridays, 5 p.m. New York time. All right? Shout out to all 90 of you watching me live. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn up your notifications, okay? So you're notified when we do go live. Hopefully, Chinye, I miss you. Okay? I haven't seen Chinye today. All right, so hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Beautiful girl. It's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Make love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.